Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hello. Welcome, everybody. It is 11 o'clock on the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November, and hopefully you will remember today and years to come as the day that you managed to stop the scroll and regain control. Thank you to those of you who are saying hello in the chat box. Please do let us know where you are across Britain today and where you're listening from. You might be somewhere more sunny than Britain. I'm in Manchester, where it is actually quite sunny right now, but I was walking the dog in the pouring rain this morning. So, as we know of Manchester, it isn't always sunny. So, yeah, please do say hello in the chat box. And thank you so much for joining me today for Stop the Scroll, Regain Control. Oh, Jane, floods. Yeah, it's not quite that rainy, thankfully. Oh, that's no good, is it? Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us here. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we kick into the session. The session is being recorded and you will receive a replay of the session later today. So it's great that you've joined in live because I know all too well how easy it is to sign up for a webinar and not turn up and then not listening to the recording either. But if for any reason you do get thrown off today, you can catch up with the recording. If you do have any questions, and hopefully you do, because I will certainly be keen to answer any questions you have at the end of the session, then please, if you can, pop them in the Q&A section that you should see. So we've got the chat, which is great, and I'm going to ask you a few questions as well, and I want you to get involved in the chat. But if you specifically got a question, can you please pop them in the Q&A? Just that I can then go at the end of the session to the Q&A and see all your questions without having to scroll through the chat, and figure out what is a question and what's not. You can also turn on closed captions at any time on your own screen in the Zoom settings. So if you do want to have captions on your screen, you can do so in the settings on Zoom. And also a big thank you to BT Digital Skills, who are supporting the Small Business Saturday webinar programme and allowing things like this to happen for you to come along and learn, hopefully, over the next hour. And, you know, hopefully this could be something that actually makes a big change in your life and subsequently your business. So let's get started then, because I have a lot to fit in the hour in stopping the scroll, and regaining control. It's a really important one, and you'll see why as we go through today's session. Before we do, I'd really like to introduce myself first. You may have been on some of my Small Business Saturday and Small Business Britain webinars over the past few years, and that might have been more focused on social media because my background is actually in social media. I have been working in social media training now for around 16 years. So I deliver in-house training, online training, all sorts of training to organizations in using social media to meet their objectives. And the other side of my business is what I'm going to be focusing in on more today, and that is digital well-being. So my initial background is actually in business psychology, and the digital well-being really combines my world of social media and the digital world with my interest in psychology and people and how we operate and how we function and everything that's thrown at us and what impact that has on us. And that really led me to get passionate about digital well-being. During COVID, when we were in lockdown, it was certainly a key point for me in understanding my own digital well-being prior to me starting this side of the business. I was certainly struggling with my mental health, and I realized that my phone had become a permanent fixture in my hand, to the point actually where my middle daughter, who I think was about 5 at the time, said to me, "Mummy, you're always on your phone. Do you love your phone more than you love me?" Which is like a dagger to the heart as a parent, isn't it? You know, it's like, of course not. I would throw my phone away forever if you actually really truly thought that I loved it more than I loved you. Um, but the reality was it was always in my hand. I was trying to run a business with 3 small girls at home while my husband was out working because he's in construction. And so the phone kind of became a bit of a lifeline of being able to talk to clients and keep the business going. But I actually found it was in my hand far too much. And what happened was I deleted pretty much every single app off my phone, apart from the ones that allowed me to communicate with family and such like. And I just found that I instantly used my phone way less, as you can imagine. And my mental health improved. I felt so much better. I felt so much happier. And it really led to a real kind of interest initially and passion for understanding what impact the digital world has on our well-being, on our day-to-day lives, on us as humans, and how can we make sure that impact is positive? So that's why today we're talking about stopping the scroll and getting back control of your devices. Because digital well-being isn't necessarily about binning devices. It's not about saying, let's reject the digital world. Absolutely not. The digital world has been amazing for me. It has given me so many opportunities over the last course of my career, particularly obviously in the last 16 years where I've worked specifically in social media training. It's offered me a career. And of course, there are so many opportunities that go beyond that. You know, I'm in Manchester, all my family are in the Isle of Man. We are separated by sea, and yet I can get into contact with them at any point. I can update them, I can send them pictures really quickly of my kids, and they can do so in reverse. So, you know, there are so many great things about the digital world. So digital well-being is not a rejection of the digital world. It's a really important thing to understand. I am not here to judge you for your digital use. I am not here telling you to throw your smartphone in the bin and become a digital kind of rejecter. Absolutely not. This is about embracing the fact we live in a digital world, but that we don't want that to negatively impact our well-being. So our digital well-being is the impact the digital world has on our physical well-being, emotional well-being, mental well-being, and social well-being. And this is hugely important for businesses. Because if you're running a business, you'll know that the digital world is all consuming. You might find you're constantly checking your emails, constantly scrolling on social media, constantly thinking about the next post to put out there, constantly kind of checking in and like, have I got another order? It's kind of like an attachment of us, isn't it? Whether it's our phone or a tablet or a laptop or a computer, it's like it's always there. And the reality is it is. Because our phone comes with us. When we go to pick up the kids, the phone's with us. When we're sat in the doctor's waiting room, the phone's with us. When we get into bed at night, the phone's with us. So it's always there. And unfortunately, that can have a hugely negative impact on our well-being. Now, if our well-being isn't operating to what would be the word, kind of maximum performance level, if we're not feeling great in all aspects of our well-being, then of course that is going to have a huge impact on our business. Because for most of us, if we're not in our business, the business doesn't happen. So we take ourselves out of the business and the business stops happening. So we need to make sure that we maintain our well-being. That's a really important part of our business, is ensuring that we can maintain our own well-being and we can keep ourselves well in all aspects of wellness. So that is what we're talking about today. How do we do that then? How do we stop the scroll? How do we make ourselves stop constantly checking emails? How do we make sure we're not scrolling social media endlessly and calling it work? That is what we're going to go through today. And as I said earlier, please do pop any questions you have in the Q&A, and I will happily come back to that section at the end of the session and answer those questions. So I did say I'd have some questions for you to pop in the chat box. And this is the first one. And it might be a little bit confronting for some of you. And for some of you, it might be enlightening that actually you've not got, you're not looking at your phone too much. But my first question to you is, what is your screen time? So what I want you to do is pick up the thing I'm telling you not to go on, but please do just for this section, and then please put it away out of sight so you're listening to me. So grab your phone. If you have an iPhone, if you go onto settings, and then you want to go onto screen time. So settings, and then you want to scroll down to where it says screen time, which is about, I don't know, 2/3 of the way down approximately. Click on screen time, and that will give you your daily average screen time. If you are on an Android phone, you go into your settings and it is called digital well-being. Now, the difference with Android is it doesn't give you your daily average typically. It gives you what you've done that day. I've delivered sessions at like 9 in the morning and people have gone, I'm not as bad as I thought at all. I've only been on it. I only spend an hour a day on my phone. No, they'd only spent an hour that day on their phone because it was 9 a.m. So I think you have to do sort of dots in the corner or something like that. There's a setting somewhere where you can have a look at your daily average as opposed to what it is just that day. And please do share in the chat box, as some of you already are. What your daily average is. There's no wrong or right here, by the way, because I completely understand we're all running businesses. And for some of us, that actually happens a lot through our phones. So this isn't a kind of like a judgment, at all by any stretch. But please do share what your screen time is in the chat. And you can see there is huge variation. We've got 10 hours down to 19 minutes. Now, that might be a case of it being on an Android and telling you how much you've been on today rather than your daily average, potentially. We've got 7 hours. And then, yeah, this is an Android one, 2 hours, 22 minutes since midnight. I'm so sorry, I'm not an Android, but there is a setting somewhere that does tell you your daily average. Oh, Android, someone said it's in the weekly report. So if you go to your weekly report, that should give you your average each day, as opposed to just how long you've spent on it today. We've got 5.5 hours, 6 hours, 21, 5 hours, 50, averaging 3 hours, 3 hours 50, and so on. I'm not going to read out every bit of screen time, but you can see there's huge variation. We're all using our phones in different ways, but the majority you can see that we are talking hours rather than minutes, aren't we? We are in the hours. For some of us, several and many hours, and for some of us, fewer hours. Someone has also just said about the Android. I just missed it there, actually. It's the 3 lines. Android, 3 vertical lines at the top of well-being. There we go. That's where you access it on your Android, the 3 vertical lines. Now, please do continue to share if you found that screen time. And what I would ask you to do as well is somewhere, little notepad, hopefully, that you've got on your desk, jot that down. Jot down what your daily average is today. Because, of course, what we're talking about today is stopping the scroll and regaining control. So what we should see, if you take action, is spending a little less time on your phone. And hopefully over the course of this webinar, you'll see why that is quite important. So in the UK, we're looking at an average of around 4 hours, 14 minutes per day that we are spending on our phones. 4 hours, 14 per day. And you can see actually in the chat how that average has come to be, because some of you are lower and some of you are a lot higher, and that is the average overall within the UK. So 4 hours, 14 minutes. Now you can imagine that's quite easy to do, isn't it? If we pick up our phone first thing in the morning, have a little scroll, checking emails, etc. During the course of the day, we might be answering WhatsApps, we might be doing a little bit of work on our phone. Come the evening, sit down, relax, put something on Netflix, and then spend the whole time scrolling on your phone and not have a clue what's happening on that Netflix episode. Or thinking, I'm going to watch this film, I've been excited to see it. And then an actor comes on the screen, you go, oh, who's that? And then you Google them, and then you're looking through their Wikipedia page, and then you're figuring out who their girlfriend is, and then you're finding out all about their past. And yeah, before you know it, you're down a huge internet rabbit hole. It's easily done. So 4 hours can easily be achieved, can't it? Spread through the day. But what I want you to think about is this. If you are sleeping for 8 hours a night, I mean, who is? But let's talk as if we're meant to be, and we are getting what we're meant to be getting. But if we are sleeping for 8 hours a night, we certainly should be in bed for 8 hours a night, if not sleeping. If we're doing that, then actually 4 hours a day is a quarter of our time awake. So we are spending a quarter of our waking lives looking at our phones. It's just almost mind-blowing, isn't it? And it actually works out at 2 whole months a year that we're looking at our phones. Every year, for 2 months of that year, without sleep, that's 24-hour days of 2 months you are looking at your phone. If we add in sleep, we're talking more like 3 months a year. So, of course, we do sleep. So in your year, you are spending 3 months of your awake time looking at your phone. It is wild, isn't it? And it's something, therefore, that we need to start thinking about a little bit more intensely, because that is not, funnily enough, very good for us. And the other thing that comes from this is time. Now, give me a simple yes or a no in the chat box if you don't agree with this, but give me a yes if you find yourself saying, I wish I had more time. I haven't got enough time. There's never enough time. I always love to see the yeses flowing through, because we all do it, don't we? It's like, if only I had more time, I'd do this thing and that thing and all these wonderful things I'd love to do, but I just don't have the time. And yet what we've just seen there is, on average, we're spending a quarter of our time when we are awake looking at our phone. So actually, the reality is we do have time. We all have the same amount of time. I'm going to go back to that whole thing of like that we've all got the same 24 hours in a day. But it's true, isn't it? We've all got the same amount of time. It's how we're choosing to spend that time. And unfortunately, devices have sucked a lot of that time away from us. So we want to regain that control. We want to get that time back because if I gave you an extra hour every day and said, here's an hour where I want you to do nothing but that thing you keep talking about, or here's an extra hour to just solely market your business. I want you to do nothing in that hour apart from market your business. Or here's an hour to just spend complete, dedicated, fully present time with your family, your children. Or here's an hour to go out for that run you keep talking about doing, or go to the gym, or get the dog out for a walk, or play board games with your family, or, and so on. The list could go on, couldn't it? So that's what I want you to kind of focus on today, depending on what your screen time currently is. But if you could reduce your screen time by an hour a day, that's an extra 7 hours a week that you're getting back. That's around 30 hours a month. 30 hours a month. That's almost like a full working week, isn't it? 30 hours a month. I mean, it's not because we're small business owners, so we wish. But, 30 hours a month is a lot of time. 365 hours a year of regained time is huge. So that's what I want you to focus on today, not rejecting the digital world. As I can see in the chat box, it's for work. I use my phone for work and I get that. It's reclaiming a bit of that time back and thinking about how we can reduce that by an hour. And I'm going to share a lot of strategies later on about how you can do exactly that. So why do we do it then? Because a lot of you have shown a bit of frustration and like a wake-up call in the chat box there about, looking at your screen time and really having that reality check of like, wow, I'm spending a quarter of my life on my phone, for some of you more, for some of you less. Why is it not as simple then? It's just me saying, session over, you know what you need to do, just don't go on your phone as much. Problem solved. It isn't that simple. It's like if a smoker says like, oh, I keep getting chest infections and I know I should stop smoking. There's a but, isn't there? But it's not that easy. When it comes to things that are designed to be addictive, which unfortunately many of the apps on our phones are, I'll come on to that in a second, it's not as simple as just going, I'll just stop doing it then. I'll just stop picking up my phone as much. Simple. I'll leave the session now. Because unfortunately, we are driven very much in our behaviors by something called dopamine. Now, our brains very much associate our phones with the release of dopamine, and dopamine's that like quick hit, feel good hormone that once it's gone, we kind of go on a little bit of a dopamine low and we're like, oh God, I need more of that. Bring me more, bring me more. And we go chasing more. And that's how addictions really start. It's very much based on dopamine release. So actually, this starts when we got our first phone many, many years ago. I think I got my first non-smartphone when I was 16. So I don't know, how old am I now? 40. So you do the maths, 24 years ago. And it started then, really. We unbox our new phone and we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Look at my brand new phone. And our brain's going ding, 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 dopamine. Straight away, there's an association there. Then there's things like lovely messages from friends, a Facebook post comment, an Instagram like, oh, a message from a potential client on LinkedIn, an email that says, I want to give you £10,000 if you do this work for me. All of these things that go, yes, this is amazing. Our brain just goes, your phone's bloody brilliant. Please keep picking it up. Because the more you pick it up, the better it makes me feel. Now, the problem with that is most of the time that stuff doesn't happen, does it? So we pick up our phones and we go, oh God, come on, come on. So we spend more and more time on there trying to find that dopamine hit. Oh, thank God there's a video of cute dogs. Oh, good. Right. I've got the dopamine hit I need. But actually, I want a little bit more. Let's keep scrolling. Let's keep scrolling. Unfortunately, many of the apps have been designed to do exactly that. They actually have people in their teams who have studied at Harvard and other top universities in addiction. And as a result, they have then put in place things to make you addicted. If you think about it, when I first started social media training many moons ago, 16 years ago, algorithms did not exist. Things were in chronological order. So I could go on, let's say, LinkedIn And I could see things as they had been posted 1 minute ago, 3 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, and so on. And I could scroll back to the last time I was on LinkedIn and go, oh, I'm all caught up. Let's put that down. Also, social media started before smartphones, and we'd have to go on a browser, which didn't come round with us. And it also had next page, and we'd have to click to go onto the next page of our feed. Now we have the endless scroll, the infinite scroll. You could scroll all day and still more things would keep appearing. You're not going to get to a point when it goes, hey, Sam, you're all caught up. Off you go. Do something more meaningful now. The endless scroll is a big factor in keeping us on those apps. And of course, the algorithms themselves, they know more about us than we know about us. They know everything, don't they? And the reality is they're listening in at all points. They're listening in now. You've probably had it where you've had a conversation verbally with a friend about something, and next thing ads for that thing are popping up on Facebook. Or you've been on a certain website, and next thing they're advertising to you on Instagram. Or it's things like, I do things like crochet. All I have to do is search for a crochet pattern, and next thing I'm seeing videos showing me like crochet tutorials and patterns. They might not even be adverts, but they're appearing in my algorithm because the algorithm's worked out Sam crochets. So it keeps us on them. So it's not really our fault, is it? It's all those bloody apps' fault. But they are not going to change anytime soon. They're not going to go, actually, yeah, this isn't good, is it? Let's go back to chronological. Let's forget the algorithm. Let's tell people they've had enough and they're all caught up. They're not going to do that because they want us to spend hours on there so they can learn about us, so they can deliver adverts to us that are truly dedicated adverts for us. Because what happens when we see an advert that we go, oh my God, I was only talking about that the other day. I really need that thing. We click on it, and that's what makes them money. So that's all they're bothered about. They don't care how addicted you are. In fact, the more addicted, the better, because the more likely you are to click on their ads and make them money. So that's why this webinar has to carry on beyond me just saying, hey, just put your phone down a little bit more, because it isn't that easy. So we do need to regain that control ourselves because they're not going to do it for us. Now, here's another question for you. How many of you, give me a yes or a no, if you sleep next to your phone at night? So if you have it on like your bedside table, if you have it next to you at night, give me a yes or a no in the comments. And this is usually, as it is right now, a bit more mixed. And quite a few no's actually, which is good. Usually we see, you can see the stat on the screen there, 71% of smartphone users sleep next to their phone. If I went through the chat, yeah, we might be looking at about 71, but I'd say typically it's definitely above 80%. So yeah, there is a lot of you who are keeping your phone next to you at night, and a lot of you saying exactly the same reason everybody says. It's my alarm clock, of course. When smartphones were invented, did you know that the alarm clock, the physical alarm clock, actually was banned? Like you cannot buy an alarm clock anymore. No, I'm kidding you. You absolutely can. Alarm clocks do still exist, but I know phone alarms are so handy, aren't they? Like I need to get up at Monday at 5 a.m., Tuesday at 7 a.m., and so on. It's brilliant. And I use mine as my alarm too. So it's absolutely fine. Do not worry. I'm not, like I say, there's no judgment here. But I do use my phone as my alarm, but my phone is not next to me at night. My phone is on the other side of the room. And in fact, I'm completely lying. I haven't set an alarm since I got my dog because he wakes me up in the morning. And the chances of him not waking me up are incredibly slim unless something's happened to him. So I got a new dog in September. So I haven't actually used an alarm since September, but my phone stays on the other side of the room. So yes, it's in my bedroom, but it's not next to me. Because the issue is when our phone's next to us, what do we do when we get into bed at night? One last little check. Just a little check. Did somebody reply to that email, or did that WhatsApp get responded to? Or maybe I'll just have a little last scroll in bed. And sure enough, when we've got in bed and we're meant to be going to sleep, we're now wide awake. We're staring at our phone. We're putting light onto our eyes, even if we've got those blue light blockers on. We're still putting light into our eyeballs, signaling the release of melatonin, which says, good morning, time to wake up, not time to go to sleep. So there's that factor. The second thing is we're scrolling before bed, whether we do it in bed or just before bed downstairs, we are scrolling and we are throwing all of this content into our brains. We're overloading our brains with information. And then we're getting into bed and expecting our brains to just go boom, switch off instantly. Even if we're not consciously thinking about that information, our brain still has to go through it all and process it. So we're keeping ourselves awake. If we're exhausted enough, we might fall asleep and then we might ping awake in the middle of the night because our brains are like, hang on a second, we haven't thought about this thing that we saw at 9:30 tonight that was, a car crash with 5 fatalities or something awful like that. So we're overloading our brains with information just before bed. And of course, there's the factor of time, isn't there? If we're getting into bed to go to sleep, but then we're scrolling on our phone, I know many people who lose hours of sleep purely because of the fact they're getting into bed and scrolling on their phone. So it's really, really important that we think about this. What is our bedtime habit? Because as you know, as business owners, again, bringing this back to business, I'm in business, you guys are in business. We need our sleep. We need our sleep. And if we don't sleep, how good we are at running our business? Pretty rubbish. You know, we get up the next day, we've got to self-motivate ourselves because we are our own boss. And we get up the next day and think, oh, I can't be bothered. Ugh. Or we overload ourselves with caffeine and sugar and we're operating on some weird buzzing level that just doesn't allow for normal thought. So our sleep is massively important. And sadly, our sleep is declining rapidly. And funnily enough, it aligns very much with the digital revolution. As soon as digital came into the world, our sleep slowly started to decline, particularly more so when smartphones became a thing. So sleep is definitely a reason we also need to reduce our phone use. We've done time, we've done sleep. And then there's this as well, our relationships. This is a sad fact of life, isn't it now, that you're trying to spend time with someone and they're just looking at their phone. Be it a partner, be it your parents, if your children are there in the room with you and instead of being present with them, you're looking at your phones. Be it when you're out with friends, everyone's staring at their phones. It's just a common sight now, isn't it? So this again is a hugely important part of our well-being and our lives, our relationships, our social well-being, our emotional well-being. So what are we doing to ensure that we maintain that? What are we doing to make sure that we are, not ignoring the important people in our lives? And then we have our mental health. I mentioned at the start that this was very much the trigger for me to really start managing my own digital well-being and getting passionate about digital well-being, was suffering from very, very low mood. And unfortunately, smartphones have been shown to have a significant impact on our mood, often not for the better. Though of course there are many ways they can improve mood. As I say, this is not about rejection. But a study's found that just reducing it by 1 hour a day had a significant impact on reducing depressive and anxiety-based symptoms. They did also find, though, that if you completely got rid of a phone, that had no impact. It didn't reduce things like depression and anxiety at all for the participants in the study because they lost their contact with people. But reducing it by 1 hour a day, their phone use by 1 hour a day, had a significant impact. And of course, our mental health is so linked to our well-being, and it's so linked to our business success. If we're energized and happy and upbeat, that's going to reflect in our business results. And as I say, this was really the big trigger for me. And there are so many reasons. Obviously, this is only a 1 hour webinar. There are so many reasons our devices impact our mental health, be it the time we spend on them, that we then don't spend time on doing the things that matter, rejecting the people around us for them, which are the people who give us energy, looking at things that make us sad. So unfortunately, algorithms do tend more towards the negative than the positive, typically, because we typically spend more time looking at negative things than positive things, and that feeds the algorithm. So that in itself, if you're getting into bed and looking at the news, it's not going to do great things for your mood. So there are many, many factors behind this as well, but it certainly is having an impact. And this next slide is pretty sad when you see it in reality. This was a survey of teenagers, and so at each of these kind of stopgaps over the years, they've asked the same age range of teenagers whether they meet up with friends and whether they feel good to be alive. And you can see what happens. The lines are pretty relatively flat for both, until we hit the smartphone era, and then boom, up they go. They don't feel as good to be alive anymore, and they rarely meet up with their friends. And these are things, meeting up with friends and socializing are, for most people, something that really does lift their mental health. So it's something we really do need to think about. And as I say, particularly as business owners, our health is our business wealth, and our mental health very much is included within that. And then we have what is currently a bit of a crisis across the world. We are in a focus and attention crisis. Our ability to focus and pay attention has never been less. You've probably found your mind wandering throughout this presentation. That's absolutely fine. That's normal. I won't take it to heart. But, the reality is we are struggling to focus and pay attention on tasks. We are struggling to focus and pay attention on the things we need to do. We're procrastinating more. And of course, we're picking up our phone more instead of doing the things we need to. And in fact, this study in the US found that the average office worker can only stay on task for 3 minutes before their attention is diverted elsewhere. Now, the issue with this is that when we are distracted, it takes, on average, around about 23 to 27 minutes, depending on the person, to get their full focus back on task. So get the full focus on a task can take over 20 minutes. And yet, if we're being interrupted, if our attention's being sort of stopped every 3 minutes, we are never fully focused on task. And therefore, we are not achieving as much. We're not getting as much done. We're not, doing as much as we can in our business and being productive as we can. And in fact, it's been found that digital distraction is worse for performance than smoking a joint. Now, this does not condone drug use by any stretch. I am not suggesting that we replace our devices with marijuana or other things that you might stick in a joint. But it's a really interesting study, actually, because what it looked at was the impact of digital distraction on people completing an IQ test. And on average, those that experienced digital distractions like notifications coming through whilst completing a test, an IQ test, scored on average 10 points lower than those who didn't experience any digital distractions. Now, in a separate study, they looked at the impact that smoking a joint has on your IQ testability. And it found that when you are smoking a joint, on average, your IQ test results are lowered by 4 points. So actually, digital distraction is over twice the negative impact on performance than smoking a joint. So it's so important that we think about how are we going to get more stuff done? Stopping the scroll, regaining control is what this is really all about. So how can we do that then? We can see why we need to, and hopefully that's given you the sort of the wake up call. As I say, this isn't about guilt. We're all as bad as each other because the bloody apps have been designed that way, and because we're all small business owners who very much struggle to switch off. Before we go into this, though, it's very important to remember, and there's been so many interesting studies on this, that it's not how much time we spend working, it's what we do in that time. I'm a huge believer in not overworking. I'd much rather actually not spend hours and hours every day working. I'm in the blessed position for the most part. I can do the school pickup. And so my working day finishes at 3. I do not work in the evening. I am not an evening person. I wake up at 5 o'clock every morning, not just because of the dog. It's pretty much something I've always done. But I like to be up and early. And so come the evening, I'm as good as useless. I'm not picking up my phone and checking my work emails. Hell no. I don't want to know what's going on in my business until the next morning. Because that means when I do get up the next morning, and what I typically do is, especially now it's dark and cold outside, is I will sit and work for a couple of hours, get the kids to school, and then take the dog for a walk when it's nice and light. Because I know then I'm refreshed. I haven't worked since 3 o'clock the day before. I'm ready and raring to go. That recovery time is so important for us. So what we don't want to be doing is thinking, oh, I'll just have a quick check if someone replied to that email, particularly last thing at night, because we're going to stew on that and we're going to not be able to get as much sleep. So how can we do it then? How can we stop the scroll? And what you're going to see now when I go through these different things, the actions that you can take is a lot, obviously, and you don't have to do every single one of them, because even just doing one of them could have a significant impact on your screen time and regain you back some time and improved well-being. So don't think you've got to do them all. Just kind of focus on the ones that you think, well, that's easy. I can do that. Or that one is definitely something I really need to do because I know that's probably my biggest problem and weakness. So please don't think, oh God, it's too overwhelming, so I won't do any of them. Just focus in on one thing that you can do because we're not looking at obliterating your screen time, just hopefully reducing it by about an hour a day, getting back that hour. So the first one then is probably one of the ones, if someone says to me, what's one tip? If I could do just one thing to help me use my phone less, what would that one thing be? And it's this: turn off your notifications. This is about getting back control. If you have notifications on, who's got control? Your phone has. Your phone's saying, hey, Sam, pick me up. Oh, hey, Sam, someone liked your Instagram post. Hey, Sam, you got a new email. Hey, Sam, someone else is asking about a lost jumper in the school WhatsApp chat, and so on. You know, it's endless, isn't it? Now, even if my phone just lights up, it doesn't even make a noise, and it's sat there on my desk, my eyes are going to go to it. My attention's going to go to it, and I've lost attention from what I'm focused on. And in fact, people who have turned off notifications typically find that they pick up their phone a third less. It's a big significant change, isn't it? Because of course, what happens is you get something like a WhatsApp notification or someone commented on your LinkedIn post. So you pick it up and go, oh, yeah, let's have a look at that comment. Now you're on LinkedIn. Now your phone's in your hand. So even if it's WhatsApp, you close WhatsApp. Now your phone's in your hand and just have a quick look on Instagram because we've picked up our phone and we're drawn into all the other apps that are available there to us. And it's such a simple, easy step. Unfortunately, most apps, obviously, the first thing they ask you is allow notifications. And because we're so keen to get using the app, we just go, yeah, allow, 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 just allow everything. Let me get on this app. So I want you to go into your notification settings and do the opposite. Turn them all off. Because I want to decide when I'm ready to go and see if anyone's commented on my LinkedIn post. I will decide when I want to go into WhatsApp and see what the heck's going on now in the school chat. I'll decide that, thank you. I'm not letting my phone decide that for me. So think about the notifications you want to turn off. The more, the better, obviously. I do not have any WhatsApp notifications turned on. If there's an emergency and you WhatsApp me, something has gone wrong in the world. Pretty much the only thing I have on is my phone calls. Because if there is an emergency, just give me a ring and tell me. So turning off notifications really helps both on your phone, your tablet, and your laptop. If you're working on something and ping, you've got a new email, your attention is off that thing you're working on. Instead, decide when you're ready to go and check if you've got some new emails. And this is where time blocking comes in. This is great for emails. Someone did mention, I think, in the chat, like, I need to stop checking my emails. The reality is we're spending over 50% of our working day checking emails. It's crazy, isn't it? And that's just our working day. It's probably more than that of time of, doing it in the evenings and at the weekends. And of course, all other activities as well. Well, I need to go on social media because I need to do a social media post or I need to go and reply to these comments. So what I want you to do from now on is time block those activities. Instead of going to them because ting, your phone's told you to, have set times of the day. Check your emails at 10 a.m., 1 p.m., 4 p.m. And, depending on what type of business you're running, most of the time, that will be enough. Another really hot tip is to take your inbox offline. So pretty much every email provider, Outlook, that kind of thing, will have the opportunity for you to take your inbox offline. What's great with that is you can still jump into your emails, go back. So if I'm putting together a course, a workshop, and we've discussed over email what's included in that, and I want to write that course, I need to go into my emails to check what's the things we discussed. But I don't want to see all the new emails coming through. So if my inbox is offline, I can go in and have a look at that without new emails coming in. And then I can choose, I'm ready, put it online, boom, emails come in, deal with them, delete most of the time, reply to those that need to, go offline again. The other thing is as well, if there is something that you think, well, actually, while I'm on this, I really need to email such and such and ask them about that because otherwise I'll forget. Write your email. You don't need to go online. As soon as you go online, that email will then send. It'll sit there in your outbox until you go online. So it's a really, really good one. I think if you just time block your emails, you will find you regain loads of time. Preferably take your emails off your phone. It's always a good one, but I know that that's not always the easiest step for us to take. So if you can, then absolutely take your emails off your phone. But certainly, it's something I recommend that you time block that activity and set yourself a timer. So if you do need to do a social media post, set a timer for how long you're going to spend doing that social media post. It's like, right, I just need to put a post together about fireworks tonight or whatever it is. I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to do that. Set a timer. You can use your phone to set the timer. That's fine. Phones are great for all these useful things. Set a timer on your phone, 5 minutes, right? Timer's on. Let's go. Challenge Annika type style. I've got to get this post done in 5 minutes. That's all I've got. Boom. What that timer does is it completely focuses you in on task because you've only got 5 minutes to do it. It stops you then going into the scroll. I'm like, well, actually, while I'm on here, I'll just have a quick scroll and get some ideas or talk to some people. So set times that you're going to do things and then time yourself, or not time yourself, but set a timer so that when the timer goes off, it's like, oh, I didn't get it done. Right, well, next time you need 7 minutes. Or boom, usually it takes me half an hour to write a post. I just done it in 5 minutes. I got myself 25 minutes back. So time block your digital activity. Now, we went into screen settings before, screen time settings or digital wellbeing settings on Android. And on both of those, you can set screen time limits. So there is a section for social media. So you could set, for example, half an hour a day for social media. Now, of course, when it comes up that you've filled out your time for that day already, you can override that. But just that thing popping up is a reminder that you're spending too much time on it. It will kind of trigger you to go, wow, I've already spent half an hour on social media. I didn't even realize I've been on there. It's that little bit of friction that stops you in your tracks. And I recommend if you are going to override it, then, particularly on iPhone, it says, do you want to override it for a minute, for 15 minutes, or for the whole day? I would either go for a minute if it's really just something very quick you need to do, or 15 minutes. Don't go for the whole day. If you go for the whole day, you're just back on the track of scrolling endlessly. If you do it for 15 minutes, you get that reminder again. You've done another 15 minutes now. How long are you going to be spending on this thing today? And you can do that for many, many of the apps. You can do it for your phone in general. So you could say, for example, I'm not going to go on my phone after 9 p.m. and before 7 a.m. And you can limit what you can access between those times. And this is something, again, it's just adding that little bit of friction that doesn't make it as easy as it could be. Another one is keep your hands busy. I already mentioned that I crochet. And this is something that has been a part of my life for many, many years. And in fact, well before I knew that digital well-being was a thing, I actually started crocheting when I was pregnant with my second daughter. And I had a 1-year-old at the time who was bringing all these bugs. That was a well-timed cough, wasn't it? All these bugs back from nursery. And I spent probably 70% of my pregnancy feeling rotten and ill, and a lot of it on the sofa. And I found that my phone did become an attachment of my hand, and I hated it. And so I learnt crochet. I just taught myself how to crochet. And I have crocheted ever since. So where are we in now? She is now 10. So I've crocheted for over 10 years. And I do it pretty much every single night that I'm sat on the sofa watching telly because I can't look at my phone while I'm crocheting. It takes both my hands. So I can't look at my phone at the same time, which is great. I've also been doing it long enough now that actually I don't really need to pay that much attention and I can watch whatever I'm watching and give it my attention and actually watch it without, pretending to watch it but scrolling at the same time. So keep your hands busy because this isn't an instant habit to break. If you sit on the sofa at night scrolling on your phone and I say, well, just don't do that, it isn't that simple, isn't it? Because your hands are going to go, hang on, what's going on? Ah, and your brain's going to go, just pick up something, please. Ah, do something. And you're going to reach for your phone. So think about what else you could do. You could be doodling in a notepad. You could be doing some puzzles. You could be doing adult colouring in. It's another favourite in our house. The kids love colouring in. So we all have little colouring in sessions. All sorts, jigsaws, whatever it might be. Teach yourself to crochet, teach yourself to knit, needlework, anything. Just don't think that you can just put your phone down and you'll be able to give something your full attention. This is something that I've had as an issue from being a young age, that I struggle to pay attention if my hands aren't busy. And I remember actually after doing GCSEs, one of my friends was absolutely fuming with me because she said all I could hear in that exam was because I'd just sit there the whole time. It was my way of thinking, keeping my thumb busy by clicking my pen constantly. So make your hands busy without looking at your phone. And of course, it's so obvious, but sometimes we just need that little trigger. If your phone's next to you on your desk, you're more likely to pick it up. If your phone's next to your bed, you're more likely to pick it up. If your phone's sat next to you while you're on the sofa, you're more likely to pick it up. So don't have it there. Now, of course, our phone is our phone, and we might take business calls and other personal calls through it. So we don't want to necessarily like put it somewhere we can't hear it. But if we put it in a drawer, we're less likely to pick it up because we can't see it. Our brain's not going to go, come on, Sam, pick it up, pick it up. It's out of sight. It's a little bit more out of mind. If we keep it over the other side of the room, then we've physically got to get up to go and look at that phone. So there's that extra element again of friction that's stopping us from just reaching for our phone. So keep it out of sight. It's a very, very simple one, yet one that so few of us do. And it's always interesting when you do sessions in person because people sit down at a desk, get their phone out of their bag or pocket and leave it on the desk in front of them. Like, wow, what is more important right now that you need that phone on your desk? And of course, very similarly, keep your phone away from your bed, you know. And much like we talked about before, keeping those hands busy. If you are a nighttime scroller, getting into bed and expecting yourself to switch off like that isn't going to happen. So I truly recommend picking up a book instead and replace your scrolling time with reading time. Now, I did mention this to someone the other week who said, the trouble is every time I try to read, I don't get past page one because my focus and attention is gone. So if that's you, you're going to have to relearn the ability to focus and pay attention on a book. And I would start very small. Go, I'm just going to read 5 lines tonight. That's it. And then the next night, I'm going to try and read 6 lines. And slowly you will train your brain to be able to focus in on a book. Now, I've just serendipitously seen this mentioned in the chat, which is amazing. This is the Forest app. It's a brilliant, brilliant app. What it does is it essentially limits your screen use. You can set a timer on it. So you could say, right, I want 25 minutes where I'm not on my phone. Or you could just run it non-stop, you know, and keep it going for as long as you can. And what it does in that time is it plants like a virtual forest. And if you go off the app and onto another app on your phone, then your tree that you're planting in that time is just going to wither and die. But the thing I really love about this is it also gives you kind of like eco coins. As you can see in the top corner of the screen grab, 670 little eco gold coins. And they can be, once you can think it's 2000, once you get to 2000, they can be transferred for an actual tree planted. So what I love about this app is it's not just a bit of gamification and helping you stay off your phone, it's also helping the environment. And we're not going to discuss it in this session, but actually your digital use is negatively impacting the environment as well. So yeah, definitely recommend the Forest app. And retrain your focus. You know, there's no point just going, well, it's too late for me. I can't focus on anything. Retrain it. You can get your focus back. You know, the digital world has stolen our focus, but we can bring it back as well. We can steal that focus back. And one way we can do that, and I know here we go, it's a well-being session, is meditation. But I'm not really talking about like deep kind of, you know, sitting like this, legs crossed with your hands in a certain position, none of that. I'm just thinking about sitting and closing your eyes and focusing on your breath, even if that's only for 1 minute. So even if it's only for a minute at a time, try and just focus on nothing but your breath. And the next time, try it for a minute and a half, and then 2 minutes, and so on. And over time, you'll find you can sit there for 10 minutes and think of nothing except the in and the out of your breath. And that's a great way of retraining your focus, but also calming your nervous system and having better clarity of thinking, better productivity, higher performance, and all other benefits that will be great for your business. The other thing I always recommend is this, and this is probably one of my favorite things for people to do, and it's make a joy list because there is so much joy to be had in life. Oh, so much joy. And if you write down everything you love to do currently, or would love to do more of, or would love to start doing, put that on your joy list. Write it all down. You know, set yourself a timer for 5 minutes and write down everything that could bring joy into your life that you'd love to do. Now, some of them might include a little bit of your phone for some reason or another, but the majority of them won't. So when you are kind of thinking, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm bored, if I don't look at my phone, I've got nothing to do, go to your joy list. Part of my joy list is behind me. My screen's blurred, but I've got my guitar there, my piano there. Piano I've played since I was a kid, but guitar I've started playing. I got it for Christmas last year, so nearly a year, and I'm just teaching myself as I go. But like the guitar was probably on my joy list for years. I kept saying at some point I really want to learn guitar, and I just never did it. But actually, I have got time. I can release time, and now I'm doing it. Um, Let me know in the chat what would be one thing on your joy list that you'd love to either do more of, or you love currently doing, or you would love to do if you had the time. Someone's put spending time in nature, and actually, nature's a really good one again for retraining our focus. Every time you're outdoors walking, I would like you to just stop for a second, not physically, but walk still, but stop your thoughts and just think, first of all, what can I hear? And listen to birds. But actually, the more you listen, the more you might realize, well, that bird's noise is different to that bird noise. And that car sounds like a car, but that's a motorbike, that's a truck. What can I hear? What can I see? What are the colours of the leaves? This is like the best time of year for seeing things. The gorgeous different colours of the leaves, the different shapes of the leaves. And I know it sounds a little bit woo woo, but it honestly does both calm your nervous system and it also retrains your focus. So you're getting a double whammy. So let's see what people are saying. Time in nature, play more guitar, walk outside more, sleep. Love that one. Learn a new language, Tai Chi, walking on the beach. Oh, the beach is like, I grew up in the Isle of Man, so we're surrounded by sea. And now I'm not, I'm in Manchester. So I absolutely love going to the beach. How to learn how to tap dance, practice henna art. Um, no Wi-Fi in nature, absolutely, but you get the best connection. I love that. I'm going to steal that one. Um, Started playing brass instrument 2 years ago. Now open half an hour and practice before I start work every morning. I'm playing two bands. Amazing. Oh, the Merlin app for knowing what the birds are, so that's good. This is where your phone does sometimes help. Read more. Ah, love them, love them. So, it's about that reminder, isn't it? That there's so much joy to be had in life, and yet we're spending a quarter of our day staring at a phone. Come on, guys, let's get more from it, please. Because it is joyful. And I know not always. I know sometimes we can be in their proper pit of despair and misery, and things are going bad and things aren't good. And that is a time to really actually switch off that bit more and look for those things that bring us joy. So, my question to you is, what actions will you take? Let me know in the chat box one thing you are going to do on the back of coming along to this webinar, because I guarantee if you do that one thing, it is going to have an impact not only on your well-being, but also on your business, because you are your business. You are a big part of your business. So, what's one thing that you're going to do today to protect and improve your digital well-being? Let me know in the chat box what that one thing is. And before I go on to the Q&A, we've got about 8 minutes left. Before I go on to the Q&A, just to let you know, I do have a download for you that's completely free called 10 Ways to Reduce Your Phone Use. If you head to samflynn.co.uk/download, you'll be able to access that. Or if you'd rather pop me an email and say, yes, please, Sam, I will send it over to you. Either or is absolutely fine. And if you'd like to chat at all about the digital wellbeing sessions that I do, I work a lot in corporates on digital culture. So understanding how digital is used within an organization and the impact that has on well-being and personal digital well-being. And I also have courses and ebooks for parents, because I am one, on helping manage your child's digital well-being and their own smartphone use. So please do email if you're interested in any of that. Come along and follow me on socials as well. Come and connect with me on LinkedIn, please. I'm not hugely active on social. I know I should be as a social media trainer, but the digital well-being part of me holds me back a bit. But yes, do please go on there. I will pop the link that I have mentioned above there in the chat box. Someone's prompted me. I was meant to do that anyway, but I'm blathering on as usual, so I forgot to do that. There we go. There's the link. So that's there in the chat box. And now I'm going to head to your questions. So let me go to the Q&A. There's a couple in there at the moment, but please do pop any questions you have in the Q&A bit. As you've seen, the chat gets very busy, so the questions get lost in there. So please do pop them in the Q&A. So is emails offline in settings? I've never heard of that. Yes, absolutely. Whatever you use, so be it Outlook or if you've got Apple Mail or whatever it might be, just have a Google how to go offline, because most of them will have. I don't think there's one that doesn't, to be honest, but most of them do have the ability to go offline. I use a MacBook, and I know mine, I can do that through my emails on there. I've trained people that use Outlook who can do it on there. So I think for majority you can go offline, and it's a really, really useful one. And then I don't understand what you mean by taking email offline. Does it mean logging into your account each time? No, absolutely not. You do not need to log in and out. It's literally, let me go off my slides a second because then I can see actually. Oh, there we go. What it actually looks like for me in my mail. Where does it sit in mail? It is in. Oh, I can't find it now. It's because the Zoom bar's in the way. Where have you gone? There it is. It's under mailbox on my MacBook. Mailbox. Take all accounts offline. So it just then means that you don't have to log in and out or anything because when you're ready to go back online, you just click the opposite. Take all accounts online. So it does, there's no logging in and out. It just means it stops emails coming in and going out. But when you go back online, anything you've written will go, and any new emails that you've received in that time will come in. So that's what that means. So yeah, hopefully that kind of clears that up. Any other questions at all? Oh, hang on, let me go back to the Q&A. I've answered that one. I've answered that one. Any other questions at all that you have about digital well-being, about the digital world? So I literally set a timer to post something, and an hour later, I haven't posted as get distracted with stories, messages, posts. I get frustrated. I suppose it's discipline, but any other tips? I know it's very hard because we've all got the same habit of we go on social media and then of course, we're down the social media rabbit hole. So one thing you can do is create your post external to social media. So you're not kind of going into it with the idea of like, right, what shall I write? Write it externally, be it on a notes app or be it on Word or wherever, but do that externally so you're not distracted. You could also use external, software that posts so that you don't have to actually go into the app. So you could use something like Hootsuite or Buffer or any of the other ones out there to put the post out, and therefore you're not going into the app to do it. Another thing I do that really, really helps is batch my posts. So I'll write a load of posts and I'll schedule them to go out over time. And that means I don't have to kind of go in constantly to write a new post. It's like a one-time hit for, say, a week or 2 weeks or a month. I would love to say I do that religiously, but I'm just not in a good social media habit myself at the moment. So I need to find that discipline again myself. But so that does help. But yeah, if you can create it externally and then just like be just super focused and like, right, I'm going to open up LinkedIn and I'm going to post and that's it. I'm shutting it down and leaving again. Is a really good way of doing it because yeah, it does take a little bit of discipline. But it will help you to kind of just break that habit of going, oh, well, while I'm here, I'll just have a little scroll. It's too easy to do, isn't it? Any other questions at all? Thank you so much for all the lovely feedback in the chat. I'm glad it is having an impact. Which is what you always hope in sessions like this. As I say, do please come along and follow me on socials. As I say, I'm not hugely active at the moment, and therefore, when I do post, it's like tumbleweed. But we'll get there. But yeah, it's something that probably one of my final thoughts really is, as small business owners especially, we often think, well, I have to be on social media all the time because it's me, it's only me, and only I can do it. Actually, there is so much more marketing you could be doing, and social media is not the be all and end all. So please don't give all your time to social media. Please start thinking about the other forms of marketing out there that don't need you to go near social media at all. And please think about how you can focus your time and be more specific with it. Thank you so, so much for joining me. And hopefully I'll get to chat to you all again soon. Enjoy.